Welcome to this week's edition of Taiwan Outlook. I'm your host, Chi-Chen Lo. As a result of liberalization and democratization, Taiwan has been ranked as one of the first countries in the world, especially when it comes to freedom of media. And the evidence can be shown by the booming industry and very dynamic and competitive media industry in Taiwan. Nevertheless, many people in Taiwan also challenge and question the so-called trustworthiness and the credibility of the media. So what are the problems and progress of the media in Taiwan? In today's program, we are very delighted and honored to invite one of the most senior journalists to come to our program to share with us his views about the retrospect and prospects of media in Taiwan. Let's welcome Chonglun Guo, and he is the Deputy Editor-in-Chief of China Times. Chonglun, welcome to our program.
Thank you, and glad to be here.
And so how do you see this kind of negative image of the media by the people in Taiwan?
I think this had been heightened, especially during the presidential campaign, which is held in March 22nd. And about a year before that, there's a strong criticism coming from the society that the media had shown their true color, meaning that they have shown which side they have supported. They have supported the pan blue, or they have supported the pan green. And this is something that has happened before, but not as obvious as this time. Taiwan had a very competitive election in year 2000, and then another one in 2004.
That's right.
But this time, there's been a very strong determination on both sides to win in this election. And for the media, it's supposed to be independent and neutral. But on the other hand, media also want to support a cause. I think some media had chosen that they are supporting the ruling party, although there have been some criticism on their policy and their effectiveness. But the other side supported we should change the government. We should change into Kuomintang, the old ruling party. But I think another critical thing that is going on is the readership or the viewers. Already they have this market share that is going on. You go with your market share or you fail. If you try to sit in between, you are losing all the readership you have.
That's right.
So that's another thing, I think, pushing the media to show its stand this time.
So do you agree that this time, especially during the presidential election, as you mentioned, media are in general very partisan?
I will agree that. And I would say that especially the media I'm working with, the China Times, is the most obvious. Before 2000 and 2004, I think we are still somewhat in an independent and neutral stand. But this, I can give our viewers example. Starting from the end of last year's, China Times has special issue coming out every week. It lasts for about 3 months. Every special issue is tackling one policy failure of the government.
That's right.
It had financial difficulties. It had the income disparity. It had the Congress that is being going down. It had the foreign policy failure, those kind of things. Although this time period is not restricted to 8 years, it also crossed into 10 or 15 years ago, go over to Kuomintang. But still, the special issue remind people how bad the current government is. So that is a way to show that China Times support a change of government and a change for policy. And that's as much as we will go in terms about showing the political stand we have. Right?
But you are very candid to admit that your newspaper, or our newspapers as well, took a very strong partisan views, especially when it comes to election. But does that affect or even damage the trustworthiness or the credibility of the media in general?
I think every media or every newspaper have to have to hold their line very well. What I mean is that if they overdo it, certainly they will damage their credibility.
That's right.
But when we do it, we will try to use the investigative reporting. We try to do the interview, and we try to show that we talk what we mean, and we have base, we have sources in doing that. But coming back, especially during the campaign, sometimes the reader is just like voters. They are somewhat irrational. This is especially in a heated campaign. Sometimes at the last 2 or 3 months, the people always want to read what they already have in their minds. So that's another thing that when we're choosing our news, we try to be very careful. We throw out a lot of sensational story. Rather, I think both sides had feed the story to, for instance, Apple Daily or the One Weekly, that it's literally that they print out the story right away. The other side will criticize this side, and that had been going on. And the media is somewhat used as a tool. We don't want ourselves to be turned into like that. So we choose our story as much as we can.
So new media, especially print media, has now become not a mass production media business. It has a very target readership, right? In other words, you are printing it for a certain group of people in Taiwan.
I think that now the readers have their political profile.
Yeah.
And this kind of political profile is the things that media have to pay attention to. I think right after the election, we can also see that some very popular TV show, for instance, they are pro-green, they are losing a lot of their ratings.
That's right.
It's not only about winning or losing, but also it's like a general atmosphere in Taiwan. So this is really a test, not only for the candidate, but also for the media itself.
China Times used to be the most read newspaper in Taiwan, but as a result of this kind of competition from different media, China Times now losing a lot of readership. How do you feel what you can do to come back as one of the most read newspaper in Taiwan?
If I talk about China Times, I would talk more generally about Taiwan media itself. I think the political factor I mentioned before is one of the contributing one. After 2 major elections, and we see that blue and green have been dividing the market, so to speak.
That's right.
And somewhat China Times is sitting in the middle. This kind of sitting in the middle, meaning we are losing readership on both sides.
Yeah.
For some special occasion, people will come back to read China Times. That's when there's a political critical moment. But that's only 1 or 2 days. You cannot cover the whole period.